All right. Welcome back once again to the Quarter Notes podcast, now part of my personal YouTube channel, which is now the Conundrum/Quarter Notes. And again, that's because it's just easier for me to manage both of the two podcasts that I have. And so now they're all under one umbrella. And still very much supported by Los Cabos drumsticks. They are still the best drumsticks in the world and the number one manufacturer in Canada. So props and love to everybody at Los Cabos drumsticks. And a shout out to Phil, who has always been very supportive of everything that I do, and including with the podcast moving forward, under my own channel. So thanks again, Phil, and everybody at Los Cabos Drumsticks. Love you all. So with that, this is the first podcast under the new format. It's got a bit of a different look. It's going to have a little bit of a different flavor to it. However, this episode was recorded back in May, when I first took that extended hiatus for personal reasons, as well as band, work, a whole bunch of stuff. So now that I'm back, I'm very excited to finally be able to put this out. I was going to put it out earlier than this, but I kind of didn't have anything after that. So I didn't want to just kind of put it out and then just have another break or whatever. So I kind of held off on putting it out. My guess is Jesse-Ray Leich. He's based out of Rhode Island. He went to school there. He then moved to New York City, and he has been in New York working on lots of different Broadway productions. He was part of Billy Crystal's Mr. Saturday Night. He's played with Juliet, MJ, the Michael Jackson Story, Hell's Kitchen, which is the Alicia Keys production. So he is in the trenches. He's in the music pit. He is doing phenomenal work. And when he's not doing that, he's playing with an up and rising star by the name of Dolores, which is awesome. So super busy guy, super talented guy, and an amazing person. So I've been talking for a while, so I'm just going to stop, let you get to the episode. So enjoy my conversation with Jesse-Ray Leich.
If I had any self-respect, I would have saved the olive branch. You must find it satisfying, acting like the bigger man. The pride you live with is so dissonant, like you forgot about the shit you did.
She told us we're recording.
There she is. Perfect.
How you doing, man? Nice to finally meet you.
Good. It's so happy to finally meet you. I know we've been trying to make this happen for a while now, so I'm so happy that we're making it happen.
Probably over a year now.
Yeah, seriously. So good to see your face.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, we can just get right into it if you want.
Yeah.
And you're from Rhode Island, if I understand.
Yes, grew up in Rhode Island. Yes, yeah. So I was adopted from Quito, Ecuador, when I was 6 weeks old. And yeah, I spent my whole life growing up in Rhode Island. And then found myself here in New York City.
That's kind of a long way to go.
It is, yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah, so we have a journey to talk about for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So I mean, I don't do a whole lot of research. I try not to do. I mean, I skim the surface, but I just want to have real chats, right? And
I love it.
So I've only skimmed, like I said, like I know you went to school. I know you're in New York. I know you've done some Broadway stuff, and you're also playing in some really kick-ass bands in New York City. So kind of want to get into all of that. Plus, there's a whole bunch of like, the nerdiness of it all. Right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah.
So you went to school for music.
I did. Yes. Yeah. So I went to school in state in Rhode Island at the University of Rhode Island. I didn't want to go there at first just because, growing up in Rhode Island, it's the smallest state in the United States. Everybody knows everybody. So I wanted to come actually here to New York, but at the time, theater was not even a thing on my mind yet, like playing for Broadway shows, any of that. I was just always fascinated by New York City. And I knew that it was like a poppin' city where music is happening that's somewhat close to home. So I really wanted to come here. Didn't work out, so I ended up staying in Rhode Island. But in the long run, it all did work out. You know, I was able to get some opportunities after school, but we'll get into that. So do you want to go back to like my origin story of like
Yeah,
drumming and the whole
yeah,
thing?
yeah.
Yeah,
So like
because
musical family, all that stuff. Yeah.
yeah, so not a musical family, but it's funny. My mom was just always fascinated by the drums. She's not musical at all. She just always loved the drums. So when I was 4 years old, she just threw me right into drum lessons. And so she went around a few music studios in Rhode Island where they teach, and a few of them turned her away at first because they were like, "This kid's too young, wait till he's a little bit older." But then
Mhm.
she found one that was like, "Let's give it a shot and see what happens." And I guess I just kind of took to it, and she was just relentless with me every Monday, drum lessons after school, for like, half hour, whatever, an hour,
Mhm.
whatever it may be. And I just started doing that from a very young age. So honestly, it's cool because I don't really remember a time like not playing the drums, which is pretty special.
Yeah,
Uh,
really.
so yeah, like I was just blessed with very supportive parents that were just all about like music and let me like do my thing and be a part of as much as I could. So at the time of 4 years old, like I said, every Monday,
Mhm.
drum lessons, all through high school, all of it. And then as I did get older and more opportunities were available to me, my parents threw in everything, school band, and I did the percussion ensemble and the jazz bands in school, anything. It was kind of cool. By the time I was in fifth grade, that's the time when kids start playing instruments in school. So I kind of had a leg up from all the other kids.
Right.
And I remember even being thrown into, from one of my drum teachers, I got thrown into this Rhode Island Youth Orchestra. It was all like middle school and high school kids, but I was in fourth grade and they just threw me in there to get a leg up. So I kind of got to learn how to read orchestral music at a young age, kind of have a leg up, from all the kids. And I just remember always loving it, man. And then once I was in middle school, probably about like 12 years old, 13, I started playing in my first like rock bands, like
Right.
garage band style thing.
Playing
That was
covers and all that stuff.
yeah, and that was everything to me. That's really where I got a lot of my true musical inspiration from, I think. Um, so yeah, I was playing in bands and we played Green Day music. My favorite bands, Paramore, played a lot of that. My Chemical
Some good
Romance.
drum parts in those Paramore songs,
That's
man.
what I'm saying, man. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But yeah, Zach Farrell, it's my favorite drummer. Ever since I was like 13 years old, I've learned so much from that man.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like kind of where the burning passion started. And I think I knew, okay, I know I want to do music like for my life.
Mhm.
Um, didn't necessarily know which avenue. I think if I had a dream, I would like be in a rock band, like a rock band like Paramore or something,
Like touring, doing this like
Yeah,
stadiums and dive bars and all that
exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah, that's how I really started, playing a bunch of punk rock gigs and different styles too. I've always loved different styles of music too. So I would, even outside of school, I would do like stuff with little jazz combos like that.
Mhm.
So I was always pretty good about keeping busy with music and being thrown into different styles of music, the whole thing. Um, so fast forward, looking at colleges, like I said, I was focused on New York. So I only applied to 3 schools here, and my parents made me apply to URI because they were like, you gotta apply. Um, so I did. And I got into the new school, which is it's a jazz school here in New York City, great school. So I was so excited, was gonna go there for a jazz drum set, but it was so expensive. Like my parents could not afford that. I would have walked out of music school with like 200,000 in debt or something crazy, something that you
Yeah.
can never pay off. So
Never.
that,
I'm still paying back my regular like college student loans from
yeah.
like 15, 20 years ago. And it's
Yeah,
like it's just ridiculous, man.
absolutely, man. Yeah, it's crazy. So, at the time I was crushed and my parents were crushed. But it was a blessing in disguise. I ended up having to default to go to URI, and I ended up loving it. I made so many wonderful memories there. And and ever since the movie Drumline came out, that Nick Cannon movie Drumline, that when I
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
kid, I was obsessed with that, and I would memorize that. I never had experience doing marching band growing up in Rhode Island because it's just not really a thing there,
Mhm.
at least in my high school. So when I was in college, they had a drum line, and I was able to do that at URI, and that was like my favorite thing I got to do there. I played snare, and I was living my Nick Cannon drumline dreams. So that was really,
Nice.
really fun, and just the
Yeah.
camaraderie with that.
Yeah,
Those
that's
in that
something we
band.
don't have. I mean, at
Mhm,
least where I am, I'm like on the East Coast of Canada, small
mm,
like province.
mhm.
Think of it kind of like a smaller version of like Boston or, that kind of
Yeah,
thing, right? Very,
mm,
very tight. Like baseball here, it's either you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan or
yeah.
you're a Boston Red Sox fan. Like there's
Yes,
no other, right? So,
I love it.
um, but like the whole marching band thing, that's not very common here at all, unless like you're
Sure.
in like a bigger city. So the
Uh-huh.
whole snare drum and like the jazz band and all that stuff, music programs at school, they don't exist.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Like there's not much into the arts as far as music goes. Like there's
Sure.
still, I mean, there's some like stage productions where they put on plays and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So they have like the people putting the stuff together, but it's all played to backing tracks. There's no live bands.
got you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Oh,
it's a totally different world for me. So
sure.
that's all part of like high school and stuff, like where you're at.
Yeah, a lot of high schools in the United States will have, have band programs, and they'll vary. For example, my high school was a really, I was very lucky. It was a great town that I grew up in, had a great music program. So there's a lot to offer. They had, a chorus for singers. They have an orchestra for string players. They have concert band for like freshmen, and like other kids that didn't really take band like so seriously. But then those that did take it seriously and like really like strived at it, there's a symphonic band. Yeah, a lot of different things. But since I think we had all of that, marching band just wasn't an option for us. But a lot of other high schools here in the States, marching band is like a very normal
Mm.
thing. Especially like down south in the United States. Oh, it's like a different, it's a whole culture down there.
Yeah, it's big enough that they make movies about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
I think it ties in with the football culture, right? Because
Yes.
during the football games you have the halftime and it's all marching corps and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess, yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, that was our gig, doing marching band. It was every home game on Saturday mornings, get up early, rehearse, and then you go play the halftime show, and you play during the whole game. And that was so fun. That was a
Yeah.
blast.
I wish we had that here because that would be just so much fun. Like you'd learn so
Yes.
much, right?
That's the thing. Yeah, that's what that makes me sad to hear that some of those schools don't offer that, because yeah, it's a great outlet for kids to really expand and,
Mhm.
learn and grow through it.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah, I
mean,
love
here in Canada, it's mostly hockey, right? Because like it's
yes.
snow like 9 months out of the year, right? So it's kind of hard to do
Sure.
the whole football thing and be out in the field, right? So,
Uh-huh.
and there's no halftime in hockey. It's like a 10-minute
Right.
intermission, right? So there isn't a
Yes.
whole lot of opportunity for
That's what
that.
we need. Drumline on the ice. That would be
Drumline
great.
on skates, right?
That would
Why
be
not?
great. That would be crazy. I would sign me up. My mom also, at that same time, 4 years old, she threw me into drum lessons. My mom was always obsessed with ice hockey for some reason.
Mhm.
Not a sports girl. She just always loved it. So she threw me into ice hockey. So throw me into
Okay.
ice hockey drumline.
So you played ice hockey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was 4,
Were
I
you a
learned
goalie?
no, oh God, I hated,
Okay.
hated being goalie.
There's like a parallel between goalies and drummers, so I just kind of
Oh, no,
yeah.
and I mean, to be fair, that might not be fair for me to say, because like I'm just not a competitive sports person, period. So that's funny though. I learned how to skate. I did it. I was never really good at the sport just because I wasn't like a competitive player, but I enjoyed it. It was fun, and I'm thankful for it, because to this day I can get onto my skates and, you know make
There
fun of
you
my
go.
friends who can't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I didn't ice hockey is, I mean, it's not cheap because you
Yeah.
have to be fully equipped. And then like especially when you're a kid and you're growing growth spurts, you're just
Yeah.
constantly having to get new gear. But a lot of
Yes.
it's like used gear, right? So people like pawn shops or used stores that resell
Yeah,
gear and stuff like that. But even then it's still pretty expensive because you're constantly rotating your gear. Like
I bet.
my
Absolutely.
buddy that I play in the band with,
Mhm.
huge hockey, played hockey all his life. His kid plays hockey, and it's just like you're on the road every weekend. Like it's almost like it's a full-time thing pretty much.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know, I get why people love it. It's so much fun.
Mhm.
I even, I did the ice thing when I was younger, and then and still young, when I was like in middle school, I did inline hockey. It's like roller skating hockey in the
Yeah.
States. I did that for like a year or two. That was fun. I do miss that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
did inline. Well, I don't call them inline skates. I call them rollerblades.
Yeah, yeah,
I
rollerblading.
used to I used to skateboard and then rollerblades became a big thing. there's this Corey Haim movie called Revenge of the Roller. So I don't know. Anyway, it was
Sure.
a bad,
Yeah.
bad B movie. Trench coats and rollerblading and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So
Sure.
then I started doing that, doing tricks and jumping over shopping carts and just being stupid, right? When you're like
Absolutely.
13, 14 years old.
Sure. As you do.
As
I
you
love
do, right? Yeah.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, the hockey thing, sadly, it fizzled out for me, but because and I did try other sports too, but like my focus was just my passion was always on the drums.
mhm.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so you packed up kind of like, dreaming big of going to New York City. So after you were
Yeah.
done, did you go to New York right after finishing at the university?
Yeah. So far as my journey went there, so yeah, freshman year I went in jazz because when you go to like state school here for music, your focus is either in classical music or jazz. There's no other options really, and I didn't necessarily want to be a jazz player. I just wanted to play drum set.
Mhm.
So that's what I defaulted to jazz. I did that my first year and I didn't love the program. So I switched my sophomore year to music education. So I ended up getting my degree to teach K through 12 music, kind of as like a backup plan. Because you never know, the music industry is so hard, and I
It
do I
really is.
enjoy teaching. I all through college taught private lessons, so I did that, got my degree in that, and that then changed my focus in school to classical percussion. So I was doing that, which was great, and I learned so much doing that. Learned a lot about myself, and I knew at the end of that journey that I did not want to be a full-time teacher. So it just so happened I started seeing more Broadway shows that were like touring. So there's Broadway in New York City where like the shows are here, happening here, and then there are touring companies that will get companies together and tour the United States so everybody can get a chance at seeing these shows. So I saw some things coming through Providence, Rhode Island, and like Boston. I saw The Lion King when I was young. I saw Wicked when I was a little bit older, and I loved it. And then I saw the show Rent, and when I saw that, a light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, "Oh, this is a job that professional musicians have. Like, I see these names in the playbill. I can do this, and I would really like doing this because I enjoy
Mhm.
these shows, and this would be so fun." So that's when that went off, and I started doing my own research. Um, I kind of found some drummers online, like through Facebook. I found their names and just messaged them, asking them, how do you get into this? Blah, 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 all of that, because there's not really a rule book on how to do this. Some people got back to me, super, super nice. And then I found on playbill.com. So Playbill is like the hub of everything Broadway for New York. You go to playbill.com and there's a job section there and it had job listings for musicians. And I was like, oh, okay, let me see what this is. Now, I think I had like already graduated, like maybe just graduated. And I'm seeing this, and I saw there were 3 shows that were looking to hire musicians, and they were just online submissions. So I did that, sent them my stuff. And then one of them got back to me, and they asked me to submit 3 songs from the show. So I did that, just recorded it from my parents' home in Rhode Island and a couple of months of waiting, and lo and behold, they wanted to take me for the Motown the Musical, that tour. So this show, it had already been on Broadway, and I believe it had already toured like once or twice, and this was like the last tour they were gonna do. So they tiered it down. Um,
Mhm.
and in musical theater land, there is like union work, like work that's through the musicians union. You join the union and you get hired and you're paid a certain rate to play the shows. And then there's a lower tier, which is non-union. You're not connected to the union at all. So the pay's not as great. Um, and that's kind of the land that I was in. I was in a non-equity production of Motown the Musical, that tour. So that's how I got my foot in the door, pretty much right after graduating. So I graduated May 2017, and then I started that Motown tour, like probably rehearsals that August.
Wow, that's a
And
pretty quick turnaround.
we
Yeah.
left in September, so it was pretty quick. And I was excited to do it, and it was just an awesome experience. So yeah, pretty much right after graduating, I kind of got my foot in the door of this musical theater industry and
Mhm.
haven't looked back since. and it's been awesome. It's been so great. That tour Motown, it was 9 months, and we toured all across the United States, and we did a bunch of Canada. We did a week in Vancouver. We did a week in Montreal. We did a week in Edmonton, a week in Calgary, and I think 2 weeks in Toronto, which was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, Toronto's the bigger.
Oh
How
God, yeah.
many how many minutes of music is that you have to learn?
Sure, that was a lot. So the like Broadway shows, they're usually like with an intermission, it's like 2.5 hours, but like actual playing time varies on the show. It depends because like you look at a show like Hamilton, that show is pretty much like just played throughout because like the
Right.
whole show was like wrapped throughout. But Motown, it was more the type of show where there'd be music happening, maybe some underscoring, then like you stop for a bit and there's some scenes. So actually playing, I don't know, maybe like an hour, hour and a half, maybe more. I don't know. That's a good question. But there was a lot of music. There were like
Yeah.
probably 30 song cues or so. And we were hitting everything from yeah, Jackson 5, Stevie Wonder, the Supremes, all of it.
Because like working in that, okay, so I know like there's like the music pit. So sometimes you're like not on the stage, so you're just
Yeah.
like in a room somewhere with like monitors, and you got to
Hmm.
hit your cues. And then there's other shows where you're like actually on the stage, like fully outfitted. So I
Yeah.
saw you had some pictures of where you're in like the tweed suit or whatever. I think that was
Yeah.
the production you did with Billy Crystal.
Yes. Yeah. That was Mr.
Um,
Saturday Night. We were on stage, so they had us in our little suit
yeah.
jacket. Yeah, it was great.
So what's kind of, I mean, one has to be more, not, I don't want to say more fun, but there's
Yeah,
definitely different challenges involved.
absolutely.
Um, what's
Yeah.
kind of the process between those two different worlds?
Sure. Yeah, it feels totally different. I like to be on stage. I like both. Both are great. But I prefer to be on stage just because it's more energy. I think feeding off of the crowd and all that.
Hmm.
So for Motown, my first went out the gate, it was a pit situation. Um, and since like I said, we were the low tier tour, so they dwindled it down to a 5-piece band, and like the rest of it was all they recorded a band in like Nashville or something, so we were playing to a click track for everything else. So the core band, it was drums, guitar, bass, and 2 keyboards. That was our band, in the pit. And that was my first experience, like really doing that, like being in a touring company or any Broadway company doing that. It was interesting because there were some pit situations where you have a line of sight of the conductor so you can see him, or sometimes you cannot at all. So we all have video monitors in well, for me, I'm in a drum booth. I have a little video monitor of like the stage and the conductor so I could see everything. And we all listen through avioms, so we're all connected to in-ears, all listening to the same thing. So that's how we can play all on time together, no matter where we're at in the building. Because there were some situations on that tour where there wasn't a pit or the drums wouldn't fit in the pit. So like the four of them would be playing together and I would be playing from like a dressing room or something or somewhere else. Crazy situations.
You don't even
Um,
have to be in the building.
yeah, exactly. You don't even have to be in the building. So those were some funny experiences that I had never had before. And it's, in those situations, it feels like you're like in a practice room because there's nobody else around you and you're not on stage. So you have to really, tune in and make sure you're giving it the same energy that you would give it if you were playing on
Yeah,
stage because, so many people are coming to see the show and you got to play it like it's your first time playing or because it's everybody's first time seeing it,
yeah.
most people's first time seeing it, and you got to deliver that energy. So
Hmm.
that could be a little challenging in that way. But being on stage, I love it because you could feel everything. You're right there, a part of the action. Like, I sub at the show MJ right now on Broadway, the Michael Jackson show, and the drum set chair is on stage. So you get to be a part of the whole action, which is just a totally different
Wow.
experience. Yeah.
So that's a pretty new production, right?
Yeah, it's fairly new. It's been running I think they just hit like over 2 years or something. That makes sense. They must have started up right after the pandemic, all that settled.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were like starting up like during that and they had to pause for a bit. So yeah, it's been a bit over 2 years now. Yeah, it's doing really well. It's
Mm-hmm.
a great show. Yeah, it's a really great um story of Michael's life. It flashes back to like when he was a kid and like the whole thing. It kicks up the show in I believe 1992. He's getting ready for the Dangerous World Tour. That's kind of where we're at in the show. very, very well done. Yeah.
Mm, yeah, I'd love to go and see that. I love Broadway. I love stage.
Yeah.
Like, my only real experience like with production like that is when I took my family on a Disney cruise and they had a couple of production on stage there.
Nice.
Um, well, kind of a sidebar. Is that something that you'd look to do? Maybe like get on a cruise ship and be in the
I
band?
would absolutely do that. Yeah, that would be so fun. I've never had the opportunity, but I've had a lot of friends that have done it and they've seen the whole world getting to do that, you know? So
Mhm.
if the opportunity arose, I would absolutely do that if it was the right thing for me. That would
Mhm.
be so cool. I've only been on one cruise before, and so happened to be it was the Paramore cruise in like 2016. They sometimes will do one of those like band festival
Yeah,
cruises. That was
yeah.
so cool. It was like band festival on a ship. It was great. So I
Every
would,
night, live music, like
yeah,
5, 6 different bands.
it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it's
It's a
like a four
festival on the
day.
water.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a 4 day thing from
Mhm.
Miami to Cozumel, Mexico, and I think I'd seen like 14 shows in like 4 days. It
Yeah,
was
it's
everything. So
nuts.
yeah, if I could ever do that, I would love to.
Yeah, I'd love to go on the Flog and Molly cruise,
Mm,
right?
I don't even know about that.
Oh yeah, Flog and Molly, like the punk band, they
Yeah,
have the
no
Flog and
way.
Molly cruise. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
they have bands like The Bronx and like Less Than Jake.
Yes.
I think Me First and the Gimme Gimmes might have done it. Like,
Oh, that's got to be a blast.
yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
sure.
Um, yeah, cruises are fun. Uh, Best way to vacation, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would love to do it again. It's been a long time since I had done that, so I'm always itching to go back. So
yeah,
if I can plan one, somebody let me know.
right. I'm sure they have like a job section on their
Right? I'm gonna
websites
look.
too,
I'm
right?
gonna
Yeah,
look
yeah,
now. I'm gonna squeeze
right.
my way in. Yeah.
It worked for Broadway. Why not?
Right? Yes.
Um, so yeah, we kind of mentioned that you worked on that production with Billy Crystal.
Yes.
What was it like working? Like, did you get to work with him? Because he's pretty involved with all of the stuff that he does. Like, he's pretty
Yeah.
hands-on from what I understand.
Yeah,
So,
very much.
did you have any type of working relationship with him as far as like, when to do certain things or that kind of stuff?
Sure. Yeah. So the show's called Mr. Saturday Night, and it was a movie that Billy, I believe, like co-wrote with his two friends, and it was a movie in 1992 that he did. And he had been wanting to bring it to the stage for years, and they finally made it happen. So such a cool thing to be a part of. And this was my New York City Broadway debut show. I had never done that before, never played for a New York Broadway show. So
It's got
it
to be
was,
nerve-wracking.
yeah, it was crazy, man. Yeah, because I felt like this young kid like being brought onto this production with all of these veterans in in every part of the team. Like the composer, Jason Robert Brown, is extremely accomplished Broadway composer. Like Billy Crystal, all the other people in the cast as well, extremely seasoned. So it was nerve-wracking. I learned a lot though, and I'm so grateful for it. So when you building a musical, it takes years to make these things happen. Usually, I would say an average of like 8 to like 10 years. Like is the process from writing it and workshopping it and rewriting and to finally getting it to the stage.
Mhm.
So they had been working on this for a long time before I stepped into the room. Um, so I didn't really work with him like one on one, hand on hand, because when you're in the band, you're mostly dealing with the music director, or the composer. Like they're the ones that are going to tell you exactly what you're going to be doing when you're going to do it. But there were some moments where like he would have a joke bit on stage, and then I think like they're in the rehearsal process, he probably looked back at me and was like, "Can we have a drum hit here or something?" So like we made that happen. So that was probably the closest thing
Yeah.
I've had to like him actually telling me what to do. But you know, got to talk to him a bit. He was so cool, so nice, so funny. And
Mhm.
you know, my generation when I was a kid, like Monsters Inc. was a huge thing. So to you working with this man and here Mike Wazowski in front of me, it was nutty every day. It was cool. Yeah, and he was
Right.
so funny, and just very inspiring because he just turned like 74 years old, like the year when we opened on Broadway. And just to see this guy that, like, you know, he's had such an amazing career and to still see him have this itch to do something new and like pushing himself. Long rehearsals. Like this was a
Yeah.
long process, and he was in it, and giving all of it.
Were you guys doing like 2-a-days at all?
Yeah, 2-a-days on what was our schedule?
Usually on the week, like Friday or
Yeah, it was like
Saturday, right?
either like two on a Wednesday, and no, we were lucky. We usually it's an 8-show week, but with Mr. Saturday Night, he had a deal. We only had to do 7. So I think our only 2-show day was a Saturday.
Okay.
We were
Yeah.
lucky. We got to skip out on one.
Do a matinee.
Hmm.
Wow. So do you ever have like as the usually like in a band, the drummer kind of defaults as the MD, right?
Right.
So do you have any part in that or any productions that where you had to be the musical director?
Sure. No, not at all, but I would be open to it. So in Broadway land, typically, I would say 95% of the time, the music director is um the first keyboard player, or it'll just be a stick conductor if it's that type of a show.
Okay, yeah.
Um, but I haven't heard of any specific Broadway shows where the drummer was the MD, but I feel like I have heard situations where some productions, I don't know if it ever happened on Broadway or what it may have been, but situations where the drummer was the MD or served as the MD. So I would be very open to that. I think that would be a really cool role to jump into. And I've learned so much from all these different music directors I've been working with throughout the years. So I think that would be a cool thing to jump into. It's just not something that I've done yet. So these past since I've been working at Motown, I've been drumming under the music director. So yeah,
And
hopefully
and the MD would be the one to set up all the cues and stuff. So you have
something.
to be on and ready for those when they hit
Exactly.
because the stage isn't going to slow down and stop what they're doing for you to like count in or anything like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, it's all about, keeping your eyes on the monitor. If you can't see the conductor where they're at, yeah, keep your eyes on them. Mr. Saturday Night was not on click at all. So we really had to watch the conductor on that because it just
Okay.
wasn't a set thing every night. The other shows that I've toured with and whatnot, and all the new shows that are happening are pretty much on the click. So at a certain point, you look up and you know where to follow, when to follow, but at a certain point when you're playing it like 8 times a week and you're just doing it, it's in your bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's been your kind of favorite production so far that you've been a part of?
Sure. That's a hard question that people always ask me
It
because I love them
probably,
all for different
yeah,
reasons,
for
you
different
know?
reasons, yeah.
Yeah.
But if they called you today and
Yeah.
said, we need you right now, what call would you want to get?
Yeah, I guess probably the MJ one, the one that I just started. I just started subbing there. It's not my show.
Mhm.
Andrew Atkinson, incredible drummer here in New York City. He's the chairholder. I'm just one of his subs to step in every now and then. I just started like my first show. I played the last week of April. So I've played, or the last week of March, I've played 4 shows so far. It's just so fun. I can't wait to get more comfortable with it and to be able to dig in more.
Mhm.
Um,
It's a
because
lot of
when
drum parts to learn.
yeah, oh my gosh, it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's scary subbing a Broadway show like on the drums because even though you're not the music director, like the drum is kind of a co-pilot in a way because you're like helping steer the ship. So it's very
Especially Michael
scary.
Jackson stuff, man, because the
Exactly.
drums
Yeah,
on
and
all those MJ tunes, like,
everybody knows it. Everybody's coming to hear the hits and they know exactly what they're coming to hear, and you need to deliver it. So yeah, very nerve-wracking. But it makes you really sit in it, learn it, really understand it. And I've become such a better player from subbing, just because of how in tune you have to be. So yeah, kind of crazy because when you're subbing on a show, you don't get any rehearsal time at all with the cast, with the band. You just need
no,
to learn it. You learn it on your own. And when you have your date, you do the thing and you just hope that you did your homework.
man, that must
Yeah.
make playing like a pickup bar gig just a walk in the park.
Yes. Yes, it does, man. Yeah, like after doing those types of things, like I've never my whole life of doing this, I've never really experienced performance anxiety until I've had to face those moments. Very,
Yeah,
very
man.
humbling. Yeah.
Because when the light's on and then it's ticking down and you hit that first cue, like
Yeah. Yeah, once that click starts, you're in it, and you're
Uh-huh.
on a journey that's not gonna stop, you
Yeah,
know?
for at least another hour and 20 minutes or
Yeah,
however long the show is.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Hmm.
Have you had any like major mishaps?
Absolutely. Yeah. Things happen, man. Yeah. So this, I sub at a few different shows, and things happen, things happen so quick. Another show I sub at, is And Juliet. And Juliet, it's kind of a modern remake on Romeo and Juliet, where as if Juliet doesn't die and she has a chance to live her life and reclaim her life as her own, right? Very like female empowerment show, very inclusive show. It's very beautiful. It's very well done. It's all music by Max Martin, who wrote a lot of our early 2000s like pop anthems. Max Martin, he wrote or has been a part of writing a lot of music by Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, all of that, and has been consistent to today. He's still pumping out things. He writes with Lizzo, he writes with Ed Sheeran, he writes with Taylor Swift, all these people. He's had an incredible
Yeah.
career. And the reason why this show decided to set the show to his music is because Shakespeare was like pop at that time.
At that time, yeah.
Exactly. So they've created this amazing thing. It's incredible what they did. They took Max's songs, and the music director slash orchestrator Dominic Falcaro, him and Max Martin and Bill Sherman reorchestrated all of these songs to fit the show, and they're rocking, man. It's so good. It's a 9-piece band, and they're killing. So fun. Over there, it's a real drum kit. Some other shows I play on V drum kits, electronic kits, but it's a real drum kit at And Juliet, and I'm subbing. And the last song in Act One I'm playing, and the bottom snare head cracked, like totally ripped. It's like things like that. Like things happen, so you just got to
Yeah.
keep going and keep plowing through.
So do
It's
you have a
crazy.
drum tech at all? You must have
No
a drum
drum
tech.
tech, but like luckily, he had, they have a great sound team there who can help with whatever mishaps
Mhm.
happen. Um, and luckily, like it was the last song in Act One, so there's a spare snare, so immediately pulled that out and got that up for the beginning of Act Two, and we were all good. But like
Nice.
things happen like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's real life.
It's real life. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So you just need to, as a sub, you need to make sure you know the show so well. So when those things do happen, you
You're
can
not the problem.
exactly react. You need react appropriately and like keep
Mhm.
it happening and just be professional and recover.
Yeah, I was gonna say keep it profesh, as the kids say.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Keep it fresh.
Keep
Exactly.
it profesh. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, so I know you also play with Delores. Now, did you
Yes.
meet her through? Because I know she also performs on stage, like Broadway and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Is that how you met her? Like, how'd you get involved with playing with her?
Yeah. So Danielle. So Danielle goes by they them pronouns. So I'm gonna use that.
Okay, sorry.
No, you are so
Oh,
fine. You
oh,
did
is
not
it?
know. You did not
Oh,
know.
good.
So I got connected through Danielle from a friend. Um, it's the beautiful thing about being able to freelance. So now that I don't have my own chair on Broadway, I'm freed up to like be a part of whatever I can, and I have to so I can pay this crazy New York City rent. It's it's crazy,
I
man.
don't even want to know, man.
Yeah, you don't want to know. So, 2023 was my first full year of really just cutting my teeth, freelancing, getting my hands on whatever I could. In August of last year, I did these 2 gigs at Little Island. It's this beautiful park here in the city, right on the Hudson River. Um, did 2 gigs there with an artist, Kuhu Verma. She's great. And it just so happened her background singer that was working with us went to college with Danielle is Dolores.
Mhm.
Dolores is like the stage name. So they went to college together. And Maya knew that Danielle was looking for a drummer and connected us together. So Danielle was looking for a drummer for a show in October at Mercury Lounge. So we met up in September and chatted, got to know each other, and we were like, yeah, this is a great fit. We'd love to do this. And that's how we got connected. It was just kind of like right place, right time type thing. And this is something that I've been trying to do for a while. Like I've been really focused on theater since I graduated college. And it's blessed my life. It's been incredible. I want to keep doing it, cultivating it. But I also want to, and I have been having dreams to play for artists, tour with artists, whatever, in whatever capacity that may be, just to, you know, get back to my roots a bit. I guess I missed that, and I didn't realize how much I did miss it until I started playing with Dolores. So Dolores's music, it's hard to like call it one genre just because there's a lot of really cool things happening
Yeah,
through
it's
it.
very
I would call it,
jazzy. It's a little punk. It's a little,
yeah,
yeah,
it's like all the things. So I would call it like alt, if you're gonna call it anything, and that's my bread and butter. It's just that's exactly what I want to be playing for. That's where my heart's at. So I'm so thankful to be connected to them. Since that gig in October at Mercury Lounge, we've done like 5 shows together, 5, 6 shows together. We recorded a little thing there was a Tiny Desk like submission we submitted for that. Um, we recorded 8 songs in the studio at the end of March. Super excited. It's really good stuff that they've been writing. Um, and it's just kind of the same like band camaraderie that I've just kind of been yearning for. They play with the same guitarist that they've known since college. Has a great producer that plays keys with us, bass player. So it's been really, really fun. It's been feeding my creative soul very much so, and I'm just excited for what the future may hold because I really believe in Danielle. It's really good stuff,
yeah,
and they've got it together. So I really have high hopes for like what the future may hold.
yeah. And you develop that chemistry with them, like,
Yeah.
on stage when you're performing with them. Like, I've seen some clips, where the two of you, you're making that eye contact and you're
Yeah.
ad-libbing, something's happening, so you're reacting, and
Yeah.
you play off well with each other. And I think
Yeah.
that's very important, especially between a front person and the drummer, because
Yeah.
there's always that connection. Because again, it's,
Mhm.
the drums are kind of driving the ship,
Yeah.
right? So to have that connection with them is really special. And if you
Absolutely.
form that bond that quickly, yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah. It's not been long, and I love them so much. I love the group so much. Like just the small things that we've done so far. It's been really special.
What which world would you want to see yourself maintaining as a full time? Like, if you had to pick one.
Both. Both. If I can, that's the dream. That's my dream track.
Right.
Because the beautiful thing about if you can get into playing in like Broadway pits and all that, once you do get hired like as a chair holder, you can sub out to 50% of your shows, which is a crazy thing. So at this like the same time, like say a new show happens and I fall into that's happening here in New York and it's mine, I can say yes to that and be the chair holder, have my subs lined up, and then say Danielle's going on tour for 2 months. I can
Mhm.
let them know I gotta go. And then spread my subs around to, hold the
Mhm.
fort while I'm gone, and then I can come back and do the show. That is like the ultimate dream, I think. I think for longevity, I would say definitely this musical theater world that I'm in. I definitely want to do this for as long as I can,
Mhm.
But at the same token, I do want kind of that flexibility to be able to go away for a while, play with Danielle or whoever else it may be, tour and come back and because you need that. Because if you end up on a very successful show like The Lion King, say, that show has been here forever, since the
Mhm.
90s, right? I'm sure there are players today that are playing the show that have been playing it since they opened, So
Yeah.
it's important for you to step away for a minute and breathe some new air and get some new inspiration.
Yeah, because chances are they haven't been playing every single show. They've, like you said, subbed
Oh, yeah,
out for, just to
definitely.
kind of keep
Mhm.
some level of sanity.
Yeah, you need to. Absolutely. Yeah, I can't even imagine. Yeah, I've never done anything longer than 10 months. Like that Something Rotten tour I did. That was the show I did after Motown. It was another non-equity show. I think it was 10 months. Like that's the longest. I've never experienced anything past that. So I can't imagine. Like 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 25.
Ooh,
It's
yeah.
a lot of playing the same thing.
Yeah. And as
Mhm.
being part of the union, I would imagine that there's some sort of pension plan or some sort of thing that you're paying into for any type of a retirement at some point.
Yep. You pay into retirement, all of that. Yep, you
Mhm.
have health insurance through the union, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And when you do join the union, you get a huge, well, now everything's online. There's a directory of every New York City musicians. So if you ever wanted to email somebody, ask them a question, like try and sometimes if you're allowed to, you can contact shareholders and ask them to just sit in the pit and watch them play, just to learn from them. So you can reach out to them, do that. So there's a lot of benefits that come with the union, and they take care of you and make sure that you're getting paid and getting paid fairly, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because
It's
sometimes,
important, especially with the arts. I mean, we saw the whole thing with, the writers and the actors strikes over
yeah,
like, yeah, you
it's
gotta
terrible.
you have to be protected.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so important. Yeah, so many friends, like even Broadway actors that also do film, like they were in that situation, So yeah, it's important to have those protections.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So if you're not drumming,
Yeah.
you're not on stage,
Mm.
what are you doing?
Sure. I'm hanging, learning music. I like to get outside now that the weather's nice. I love the little neighborhood that I live in, Brooklyn. It's great. I love to get outside when I can. Because if I am drumming like in a theater situation, especially like if you're in rehearsal mode, like you're in a dark theater like all day. So it's nice to get out, walk through Central Park.
Yeah.
Um, but music is my thing. I love to listen to music. I love to go to shows. Like I wasn't playing last night. One of my favorite artists is Ed Sheeran, and it just so happened he was playing here in Brooklyn. So my lady and we went to the show last night. That was so fun. So I love to go see music when I can, um, or network with friends, other drummers in the community.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and try and stay creative. Try and
Yeah,
stay inspired.
that's kind of a thing that I've touched on in a few of these chats that I've had, is just a community of drummers, and it's kind of why I'm doing the podcast.
Hmm.
At least with the Lost Cabros, I can't even say the word, the Lost Cabros, family. Like,
Yeah.
drummers are a different breed. And,
Hmm.
like you see another drummer, and it's like almost instantly your best friends,
Yeah.
right? Like you see guitar players, they'll play with their tone, and then they'll like hide all their gear. They don't want, anybody to see it.
Yeah.
Whereas, in the last episode that just got put out, Chico's talking about, hey, you see this drummer you're on tour with, it's like, hey, come check out my rig, and like, oh, this is cool. And, drummers are different that way.
Yeah.
So within the stage world that you're in,
Yeah.
there must be a lot of like trade secrets that you guys are kind of helping each other out and, building each other up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of my favorite things about being a drummer in the city. Excuse the fire truck going by or whatever that is.
Sorry.
Um, we have a great drummer community here. I've made so many wonderful friends, and you're right. Like we uplift each other. It's never a nasty thing or like a competitive thing. A lot of drummers in the city here will coordinate drummer hangs at like a bar in
Mhm.
Manhattan. And I just went to my first one a couple weeks ago, and that was so great. I got to see so many friends that I already know, and then also connect with like drummers that I've seen online who I've wanted to meet, so fun and so great. And it's important to help each other out because there's no, like I said earlier, there's no like rule book of how to get into this stuff. And they don't teach you this in music school at
Mhm.
all, really, um so we all kind of help each other, like how'd you get into this, how did this work out for you, XYZ, gear talk, whatever it may be. But it's important, we all help each other out, and I think that's important, and it's gonna just make your career that much better, having those connections, having
Mhm.
those people that you can call on, even if times are like hard or whatever. We're all in this together, and I think we all gravitate towards each other because we all understand each other. You
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
unspoken language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you remember how you first got into playing Los Cabos drumsticks? Like, what was your
Yeah.
first experience with the brand?
Sure. Yeah. So the first time I heard about the brand, I this was after Motown. And our sound guy, our A1, Mike Skladell, love Mike Skladell. Uh, he was going on tour with the Wiz Khalifa summer tour, doing sound for them, and they were coming through Mansfield, Massachusetts, which was very close to where I was in Rhode Island at the time. So my brother and I went to the show, and I knew the drummer. I didn't know him personally, but I knew the guy drumming for him. His name was Mike Nelson, and at the time, Mike was drumming with Los Cabos Drumsticks, and I never heard of them before. So I think I remember I followed him online, and I just did a bunch of research. I was looking at the stick company. This had to be what, like summer of 2018.
Mhm.
And then fast forward a couple years, um, this is a prime example of drummer homies like always having your back and just like, always lifting you up. One of my dear friends and also like favorite drummers like in the world. His name's Quentin Robinson. He goes by Q. If you don't know of him, definitely look him up. Incredible drummer. He's drumming on the Hamilton tour right now. Um, so Q hit me up. I think this was during the pandemic year. I was home. It was 2020, I think. I was home at my parents'. He hit me up and he said one of his good friends, CJ Baker, is a Los Cabos drumsticks artist. And so he wanted to connect me to him because Q knew that I was kind of looking for a stick company to be a part of. So he connected CJ and I together, and we had a couple conversations talking about the company, all of that, and he told me how much he loved it, loved Phil. So CJ ended up making the connection me to Los Cabos, which is very generous of him. So that was my buddy Q doing me a favor, so sweet. And I'm so thankful for it. Yeah, ever since then, I've been connected to you guys, and it's been great. Phil is so responsive, so great, easy to talk to.
Yeah.
And I put in my stick orders, and they're here. Like I feel like not even like a week later, like they're on my doorstep. So it's been great. It must have been since about 2020, 2021. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. So what's your stick of choice now? Like I know I switched, like I'm doing 55 ABs, red and whites now. I was doing
Sure.
rock. I've got,
Yes.
so what are you playing now?
I've been so happy rocking the 5B Intense White Hickory. They're doing the job, especially for the heavy hitting ones. Like and Juliet, it's perfect for that. They're so great, so durable. I've been rocking those a lot. At a point, I was kind of switching between the 5As. I think for Mrs. Saturday Night, during that run, I was using the 5As because that show, I was on stage. Um, and it just wasn't that heavy hitting of a show, very
Mhm.
jazz forward, more old style musical theater playing. So I was able to get away with the lighter stick. But with Juliet, I was snapping them. So I was like, oh, we gotta beef it up a little bit. So I went with the
That-
5Bs and I love
That's what
them.
the B stands for in 5B.
Yep. Yes, yeah, exactly. I love it. I think the first stick I ordered from you guys, blue is my favorite color, and like my kit's blue and all that. I think the first stick I ordered was a blue dipped,
Yeah.
5A maybe, and I love them. But I've been rocking with these
The
guys.
OGs. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, these are the 5As. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're great.
Yeah. Love them.
Yeah,
I have played, like I said, I played the 5B Intense. I started with the 5B Intense, the red Intense ones, and then I went to White Hickory, and then I went to rock, and then back to just regular 5B,
sure,
55 AB. So it depends on what you're working on. So I've got a
sure.
bit of a kind of a cover band that I'm working on, similar to Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, like punk rock covers, just taking
Yeah,
old songs and beefing them up. So I've
yep,
been doing the 55 ABs, the White Hickories
nice.
for that.
Mm,
And for my punk band, just so I don't have like the weird shock in my hands, I'm using the 55 AB Reds.
nice.
So yeah,
Yeah, how do you like those red hickories?
they're great. They feel
Yeah,
denser.
yeah,
They feel weightier. So I find
yes,
like on the rim shots, they're a lot more snappy.
yeah.
And on the bells of the cymbals, I find that they have a little bit more of a darker tone.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I have to order a few of those because I mean Phil was nice enough. Like I sometimes there will be extra things like thrown in there sometimes in the box, and like he must have had some extra red hickory or something, and he just made me like two of them. I haven't really brought them out yet to play at a show, but I gotta bust those out. You just reminded me. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I've got crash questions, kind of
Mm.
quick fire. They're not anything crazy, but
Okay.
I like getting everybody to answer these questions just to kind
Sure.
of see all the differences and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so when you're kind of in that happy groove zone behind the kit,
Mhm.
are you more of like on a hi-hat or a ride or something else? Like what's your happy place?
Mhm. I think probably hi hat. Hi
Mhm.
hat. I like to mess with the pedal and like get all the different like beefy sounds I can get out of it. A big wash. I've been my whole life I've been playing 14-inch hats, but like so many of my favorite drummers now like are playing bigger hats, 15s, 16s. And I'm so curious. So my next symbol order, whatever that may be, I may try that because I think I am a wide hi-hat wide wash person, you know?
Yeah. The I switched to 15s. I'm doing Sabian HHX groove hats.
Nice. Yeah.
They are the best hi-hats I have ever played.
Yeah, people are loving like a 15. People have been
Yeah.
loving yeah, and I've always rocked 14s like my whole life.
Yeah. I'd like to
Yeah.
get some 16s, but
hmm
it really depends on the project, right? Because
hmm
the 14s are quicker, the
hmm
15s are a little washier, and then the 16s are just loud and sloshy, right? So
Sure.
like I've never been one to do the 13s.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
I can't do a 13 hi-hat.
Sure. Yeah, I just never thought about it. I just always, it's been 14. Always, always, always. So yeah, I
Industry
gotta,
standard, right?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, I think you definitely would dig 15s.
Okay,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, that my next
Mhm.
symbol order. It's
Yeah.
happening.
Are you affiliated with any symbol company?
Yeah, so I've been working with Bosphorus symbols
Okay.
since like 2018. I got on their roster the second tour that I did something rotten. Yeah, and they've been great. I love
Okay.
the sound of their cymbals and the same thing. And they're based out of Istanbul, Turkey, you
Okay.
know, and like I'll put an order in and it's quick, man. Yeah, they're
They're,
very, very great people
they're
over
one of
there.
the few that still do handmade, eh?
Handmade. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I see
Yeah.
videos online. It's absolutely incredible how they make them. Yeah, I would love to like get over there someday. Even to where you guys are at. You're in New Brunswick?
Yeah. We're not
Yeah,
far.
I would love to get there and like come to like the factories. That would be so
Oh,
cool.
dude. Like I know you're not affiliated with the Sabian brand, but it's still cool to check out the factory.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. I would love. Yeah. And
It's
yeah.
like 30 minutes away from the Los Cabos factory.
No way.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. Field
Yeah.
trip. All right.
Yep. I've often done both in the same day.
Sure.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. Sweet. I yeah. Note to self: when I do have a chance to travel over there, we will make
Mhm.
that happen.
Yeah. So speaking of gear,
Yeah.
what would be your favorite or oldest piece of gear that you can't live without? Like you have to have it.
Sure. I guess I didn't realize I can't live without it because I've always had it. It's funny. My snare drum stand, it's this random Tama snare drum stand that I have been using since at least fifth grade. I remember like that was the snare drum stand. I would have like I'd have to bring my little snare drum and stand to school on like Thursdays or something for band class. It's that same snare stand that I've used on Mr. Saturday Night, on K-pop. Every time I'm playing with Dolores, you know, it's funny. I know that's I think the oldest piece of gear that I have that is just it's just here to stay.
That's sweet, man. That's
Yeah,
cool.
isn't that funny? Yeah. And
Yeah,
pretty much
I mean,
everything else and you know, updated, changed, whatever, but that the thing has a lot of life in it.
yeah, yeah. So a little off topic.
Mhm.
Do you prefer cake or pie?
Ooh, that's hard. I think cake. I'm a cake boy.
Yeah.
Like a good chocolate cake will do me just fine. But, you know, my mom does make a killer blueberry pie and apple pie. In the summertime, I do like desserts, so don't get me started.
Yeah, I'm all about that dessert, man.
Yeah, what are you
Yeah.
what are you? Cake pie?
I'm all about the pie.
Pie. Okay, cool.
Doesn't matter what kind of pie it is.
Really? Yeah.
Meat pie, fruit
Ooh,
pie.
you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
That's facts. I didn't even think of that.
yeah,
I was thinking sweet tooth land.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
rightfully so, really.
right.
I mean, you know.
You're
Um,
right.
so if you could time travel to any
Yes.
event or live show,
Jeez.
what show would you go to? Like, where would you
Cool.
go?
Uh-huh. Probably Michael Jackson live in Bucharest. And this crazy thing. So like I said, you know, I was obsessed with him when he died. And I think I asked my mom to buy me the videos of him. You know, he had a couple of like concert DVDs.
Yeah.
It was live in Bucharest. And that was the Dangerous tour that like this MJ show is about, the
Mhm.
1992 world tour. Crazy. But probably that show. It's just a sea of people. The show looked incredible. I probably one of Michael's shows for sure.
Probably at the height of his game too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
He was killing it. Yeah, and I've watched that front to back so many times. The performance just it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. And Sugarfoot, just
Sugarfoot, man, so good. I
Grew for
understand.
days.
Grew
Yeah.
for days and his right foot. Oh my god, it's crazy. Playing Wanna Be Starting Something. Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Always for days. Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you consider to be your proudest accomplishment so far?
Mm, that's hard. I guess, you know, proudest accomplishment probably being able to maintain like the career that I've had so far, even though it's not been that long or whatever, but just maintaining what I do have and being able to expand that network. Um, because I want to be able to touch as many different avenues as I can and be an inspiration to people. Um, and I think I've just been very blessed just this past couple of years with the projects that I've had. And and with all of that, it kind of gives me opportunities for things in the future that are down the pipe, that might come to fruition. So I'm just thankful for and most proud of being able to make it happen and now carry it through,
Mhm.
very proud of that. And I just I'm grateful. It's like pinch me moments, every time I get to go play at these places.
Yeah.
I've always been a huge fan of this type of music. Like, yes, I'm playing for these theater shows, but the ones that I'm playing for currently are like it's music that we all know and love. It's Michael Jackson's music. The show that I play at Titanique, it's all Celine Dion's music.
Mhm.
And the show at Juliet, it's all songs written by Max Martin that is like the soundtrack to our lives. So very grateful for all of that.
That's cool.
You
Yeah.
know.
When you were talking earlier about his music for the and Juliet, kind of reminds me of that Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet, where it was all set with like modern music.
Yeah, sure. Uh-huh.
That was
Yeah.
such a cool trip. I remember that when that came out,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Yeah.
old, so I was old enough to it appealed to me at the time.
Sure. I love it. Yeah, it's awesome, man. Yeah, if you ever have the chance, yeah, if you're ever in New York, hit me up. Because yeah, it's a cool show and you would enjoy it. It's well done. It sounds great.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And it's a live band, which is
it is. Nine
yeah,
piece. Yeah, it's
awesome.
yeah, 5-piece rock band and 4 strings.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, what band could you sub in for without needing a rehearsal? Now, I guess I mean you're pretty used to not having a not having a
Yeah, right.
rehearsal, right?
I guess I can do it now.
But what
But
what
that,
band if they called you now and were like, we need you in 30 minutes?
yeah, Paramore, without a doubt.
I kind of
Yeah.
had a thought.
Yep. Yeah, man. Yeah, I joined this band when I was like 13 and we had a female lead singer and she brought us this band, a bunch of music by Paramore. At the time, it was like a lot of the music on the Riot album, which came out 2007. That's like when they really hit it, like big Misery Business, all of that. And I had never heard them before. And we basically kind of ended up, we weren't a Paramore cover band, but we played a lot of their songs. And our guitarist got a live DVD of them playing like 2008. And I was just like floored. I don't know what it was, but I've never seen somebody like play with that much power. And this kid, he was so young at the time. Like his name's Zach Farrell, their drummer. He was like 18, 19, maybe. When they cut their first album, he was like 15. They were young. Haley Williams was like 16. Young kids, talented. I was always drawn to their sound. And they were the first concert I got to see with that band that I was playing in. We went to the concert. It was Paramore opening for No Doubt in 2009. It was the first concert I ever went to. Incredible, like life-changing,
Yeah, yeah,
Um, it was just the power of like hearing that kick drum, like, and we were far away in the back, and I could like feel the kick drum like in my chest, like that. It changed my life really, and I've just always been so inspired by them. They've grown up so much now. They have a record that came out in 2023. It sounds so different from like what
yeah.
they started with, but like it's such good stuff. They're so talented, and I've learned so much just by watching him play live. Um, I really do consider him like one of my other teachers. So
Mhm.
yeah, if he ever had a little accident and needed somebody to fill in, I would happily oblige.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Mm, I want to show
No,
you that. So I've seen them like 16 times.
Yeah.
Um, the first tour that they did back 2023, they played the Beacon Theater here in the city, and it was all seats. And I was able to snag like front row seats pretty much. I could not wait to go. Anyways, I brought sticks with me, my K-pop sticks with me, and I handed them to Haley like after the show. And I just wanted like Zach to have them. Like I just wanted him to like see my name
Yeah,
like the whole.
yeah.
But and then I gave it to her, she took it. And then their manager like came back and like handed them back to me. I was like, no, they're for Zach. And he was like, he signed them. I was like, what? He signed them. So Zach Farrow signed my Los
Wow.
Cabos right here. Yeah, so
So
it's something I
he
will
signed
cherish.
it in a way that he didn't sign his name on both sticks. He signed the pair.
Yeah, yeah, he's done.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
and right next to my name too. Yeah, so this is something I will cherish that for forever. Very,
That
very
is
special.
very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that, right?
So to piggyback on that last question,
Yeah.
what song or drum part do you wish you had recorded? So it was like
Ooh.
your credit.
Oh, okay, cool. Probably, hmm. Probably there's a song on Riot, like when I first like fell in love with them. There's a song called "For a Pessimist, I'm Pretty Optimistic." It's such a powerful drum groove. It just starts with just the whole thing. So many great fills and the way that they intertwined together. Because at that time, their lead guitarist was Zach's brother, Josh Farrell. You know, the way they wrote together. Oh,
Mhm.
it's so good. The power that they had.
Yeah, the
Probably.
brother dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's
Exactly.
real. I mean, it's real. I mean, like Van Halen, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Pantera.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not a band together, but I love the Freeze brothers, you know, like Josh Freeze, he's playing for, you know, Foo
Yeah.
Fighters
Foo
now, and
Fighters.
his brother plays, you know, Green Day is another one of my favorite bands. So I would always see his brother Jason Freeze playing with Green Day. Yeah,
Mhm.
that brother thing, man. Absolutely.
Real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you were to hop in to a tour bus or a tour van or whatever, and you're hitting the road, and so you're going to be in the road, you're going to be in the car or whatever vehicle like all day long,
Mm.
and there's one CD and it's stuck in there and you can't get it out. What
Ooh.
one do you not want it to be?
What do I want to not listen to?
Yeah.
Okay, what album do I not want to listen to? All right, that's hard.
Save the
Hmm.
hardest for the last.
Right? Yeah, this is tough. Okay, what album do I really just not want to listen to? Maybe. Get my my wheels turning. What do I despise?
Well, it doesn't have to be that, you
Right,
know.
doesn't have to be that deep. Hmm. It's hard. Do you have an answer? You go first.
I don't answer these questions.
No? Ooh,
I,
ooh.
I can give you one of
Okay,
probably
give me
many.
one. Sure, give me one.
Anything by Florida Georgia Line.
Oh, okay. I'm picking up what you're picking down. What's the one? They do have one banger though. Baby, you a song, you make me wanna roll my windows down and cruise. I'm dead. That is too.
And that's all the time we have.
And that's all the time we have today, folks. Uh, for me, okay, maybe like anything by. Oh, what's that? What's that group? It's gonna kill me. I love my boy bands, but this one I can't. 303. I can't remember. I can't remember what that band is, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
2010s type like group band.
They had that
Maybe
duet with Kesha, I think.
yes, exactly. My
Yeah,
brain, yeah, that's where I was. That was a weird time in music. I
yeah,
think for all of us, whatever that was, like early 2010s.
yeah.
Um, that group. I was thinking like, yeah, down like the Kesha line and like 303. That was a
Uh,
very strange time.
yeah, cringe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, man, this has been amazing. This is like, thank you so much. I'm sorry it took so long to like get everything aligned, but
No,
I
man,
think
you guys
there's
are busy. I get it. And I know you're talking to so many cool people. So I'm glad you were able to squeeze me in. Thank you so much for having me. This was great talking to you.
yeah. And so where can people catch you right now?
Sure. So right now I'm just subbing and it's inconsistent, but I would say just follow me online for updates. My Instagram, it's my name, it's Jesse-Ray on drums. So you just find me there. That's where I'm usually the most active. I subbing at MJ on occasion and Juliet or Titanique if you're in New York. Hopefully playing with Dolores much more in the coming future. So look out for that. Also follow Dolores online. I believe the Instagram it's on the Dolores. That's the handle. So yeah, that's about it right now.
Cool, man.
Yeah. So
Sweet.
great meeting you, Dre. I wish I lived closer to you guys so I can come like chill at the factory and meet the whole team, but hopefully it's one of these days. If I ever have the chance to go over there, I'll absolutely let you guys know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool to
man.
have a hang.
And you do the same. If any of you guys end up in New York, please have somebody like email me, text me, whatever. I would love
Hit
to
you
hang.
up.
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
All right,
Awesome.
man. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you again, Jesse, so much for such a wonderful conversation. And again, I do apologize for the extended delay in putting the episode out. Thanks for being patient. And they say good things come to those who wait, and or something like that. But yeah, in all seriousness, it was just a great conversation. And all the best to you. Check out Jesse. I'll have all the social media links and everything in the description. So you can follow Jesse, you can follow Dolores, as well as I'll have some links for Los Cabos drumsticks. Again, thank you, Phil, and everybody, Steph, and mom and dad out there. Thanks so much for all the support. Yeah. So the plan is to have conundrum and quarter notes kind of work opposite each other. Conundrum, I'll talk to musicians and artists from mainly the Maritimes, but all over the place. I'm going to be reaching out to some more people. I'm about to record an episode with one of my favorite people in the world. So that'll be the next conundrum episode. And then after that, I've got another quarter notes episode in the pipe. So lots more to come, lots of conversations. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you in the next one. So with that, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you in the next one. All right. Ciao.